Maybe jump over here.
Welcome. I would like to call to order the HR committee on March 8th, noting that the committee members are here as well as some of the administrative team. I need approval of the agenda.
So approved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I don't believe we have any public comments for this meeting. Thank you, Rebecca, for checking on that. So I'm going to turn it over to Brian with the planning for our wage increases for spring.
So what we kind of have identified here is a potential timeline for wage increases and to kind of help us lay this out for the remaining part of this year and going into next year. And so there is a couple points that you want to make sure that we are clear on, is that there's both discussion of changes or to 22 and 23 wages, so current wages, and looking forward to next year, 23, 24. That was not a typo. And so what that first item is really taking a look at some of the staff that we have that is compared to either internal individuals, so like Waunakee employees with like experience, like roles, or comparing them to external individuals or groups, using some of the referendum funds to boost those individuals up to a comparable competitive level. And so what we would propose is that this is a topic that we had discussed with the teacher compensation committee when we were putting in the salary system 2 years ago or over the last 2 years. And again, the challenge at that time was a source to kind of do this extra work. The referendum has provided that. Now I would, I guess, ask to re-engage that group on this particular topic to determine how we go about identifying those individuals and what we use as a comparison internally. And then I guess kind of again, and the reason I have an April-May timeline there is depending on how long that work takes. We're in March already. We probably there's a potential that it could be ready for an April action. It's probably more realistic that we're talking a May action and May review by the board. In May, we would be having, again, this committee reviewing draft wage increases for the 23-24 year. Sometime in that May to June range. And as I mentioned before, we'd be looking at approving changes to this year's wages for internal and market-based reasons. And then in June, we'd be looking to approve wages for our non-unionized staff, so admin support, and our hourly employee groups. That would again meet our opportunity and timeline to have it in place and correct for July 1 wages, which is very important for our hourly staff, especially with the electronic timekeeping system we use. And then in July, approving 23-24 wage increases for teachers, obviously with an asterisk there, that is a negotiation process. And so, how that, depending on how that plays out and how that works, that would be what we would propose, with an opportunity then to make sure that the first paychecks that teachers were receiving would be their correct 23-24 wage. But again, that is a unionized group, so it is a negotiation process. Questions or thoughts about that outline?
No, I just appreciate you continuing to work on those areas of concern by our current staff, that that compensation that they have voiced doesn't feel fair. I just appreciate you looking at that.
Yeah, I agree. I think working also with the compensation committee from the teachers, being open about what's a good time, what's a good process. I think that's key as well. So thank you.
Right, any other questions on there? Thank you, Brian, for putting that together. So then we have our employee benefits to go through, starting with our dental.
And so this is, these next several items are going to work in conjunction with the health plan information that the board already has a viewing of. And so the vision would be that all of the benefit plan would come for action by the board in Monday's meeting, including these potential changes if the committee supports them. We have reviewed these items with the insurance committee, just as we reviewed it with the health plan with them. And so and I'll bring forward the items that they had suggested we give attention or change to. But otherwise, as you know, I think Brian and Joan can speak to, they were supportive of these proposed changes with an edit or two. The first aspect is our dental plan. We do self-fund our dental plan, which means we hold the funds for it. We do use a plan administrator, excuse me, Delta Dental to run our claims through, but they, then they bill us, we pay them. And so it gives us an opportunity to be in a network, et cetera. What we have seen is that over the last number of years, several years, our dental plan balance has increased greatly. From a number that was at one point targeted to be prior to my job, 35 to 40,000. Now we're sitting at last month's balance was 578,000 or almost 579,000. And if again, just current historical trajectory, we're probably going to end at about 600,000 by the end of June. That balance gives us an opportunity to give some additional benefits to our staff, which, if you look at it in conjunction with the health plan, gives staff an opportunity to use if they're in a traditional insurance structure, they can use their best flex money for more medical expenses, or if they are they go to the route of the high deductible plan, it again would still give them an opportunity to divert money to that, as opposed to having medical expenses, as opposed to having to use it for dental expenses. And so really a three-part plan. The first is to reduce our deductible, which currently is 25 for a single, 75 for a family, to 0. And then in the parentheses, that is the cost that USI and Delta have helped us forecast based on our current plan structure and our current participants. And so that's a additional cost of about 34,000. Secondly, if we increase the individual max to $2,000, that cost would be 59,338 projected. And then our third step would be to increase the ortho max annually to 2,500. And again, that is a smaller expense. It's only 5,000, a little over $5,000 in projected cost. So the total cost of that, if you go to the last paragraph, is forecasted to be about 98,000. And then if you're looking at trajectory and claims history, we're likely to decrease our fund balance if we follow a similar pattern to the past several years. Our fund balance would decrease by about $65,000. And so we think that is a meaningful changes for staff, but also responsible changes in that there are a number of, we can really see what happens with these changes with that strong balance, make sure that it is going to play out as the forecast has suggested, and then have a number of years before we really need to worry about making additional adjustments to perhaps strengthen a fund balance or look at what we're at. And so obviously the information there is kind of just for a full picture. I guess would there be questions from folks? Mark?
Okay, appreciate work you put into this for positive benefit for employees. My question is, we're seeing about a $11,000 increase by the end of the year. Is that based upon, one, is that based upon increased staff? Two, is that kind of an annual projection, or is that based upon use? What determines that
Sure.
11,000?
Yeah, and so what that is, are you kind of talking the fund balance going from 578
Right.
to about 600?
Right.
And so where that number comes from is, it is based on past use. That third paragraph, we have part of there's several reasons that we've probably seen an increased fund balance. Reason number one was COVID. Dentists weren't taking appointments. The only thing that was happening was emergency stuff. And really, some of those things like cleanings and normal annual whatever health maintenance, you don't make those up, right? You just you do the next one. And so there was a number of things that just didn't happen for a while. And so we were, again, money was coming in, but claims weren't going out. Secondly, just based on a plan design, our dental loss ratio, so of 95% indicates that, for every dollar that comes in, we were sending out about 95 cents. And so just by nature of that, again, if you would see an increase in balance every year. And then third, we have increased our staff and our participants in this every year. And so as our staff has grown, the amount of money coming in has grown. And again, so more people contributing $1 and 95 cents going out. So there, the fund balance has grown a little bit. And so to get to that forecast of approximately 600,000, that is simply take the amount of dollars that we have seen in fund balance increase in a year over the past several years and dividing it out per month. And so it is a forecast. It is certainly not exact.
Sure.
But we're going to end up around that if we follow past history.
Brian, I thought it was significant what Heather added to this conversation on Monday is where our benefits will fall with the 15 surrounding districts that I believe she said that the deductibles going to 0 would put us more in line with all the other districts, and
Yes.
that might be useful information for the whole board. Just a couple of those facts that you brought up afterwards, so that they realize these benefit changes really put us in a better line as a, enticing employees to come to our district.
Yeah, for Mark, really, Brian and Joan had heard it, and for our thousands of YouTube viewers, what Heather had shared, Heather's one of our consultants from USI, is that we were really an outlier in terms of a deductible. Most dental plans had moved away from having any type of deductible. And so this 0 and 0 would really align us closely with that group of Dane County plus school districts. And then increasing the individual max really puts us into again, very favorable group. It's not necessarily, we would not be the only ones kind of lying that way, but we would be in the, again, if I'm going off that memory, probably put us in the top quartile. And then the ortho max going up to 2,500 is actually probably a bit more attractive than most districts, even more so than that. And so these would all be very favorable, not only for staff, but again, as showing people that we are interested in providing a great package for people.
So do you want us to work on these independently?
Yeah, I think so. It would make most sense.
So if we're all comfortable with these dental changes, I would take a motion to move this to the full board.
Motion to move the dental plan changes to the full board.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Brian. So term life insurance, did we get any numbers?
We did get one number, but we actually kicked it back to them. And so what we, this is the area that the committee really offered some feedback and were more interested in us adjusting these numbers. And so I'll come to that in just a second. So it's just a informational piece for everyone. Currently, we offer every employee that works 20 or more hours. We offer them an 100% employee funded, employer funded term life policy based on their current wage, base wage, rounded up to the nearest 1,000. And so there's two parts to this that we were looking to do. One is that we wanted to increase the amount of benefits that we're giving to our employees. And then secondly, it's an efficiency gain if instead of having to send every time we change a wage, an individual number to say, here's the 40 people that are in this group, here's the 100 people that are in this group, here's the 50 people that are in this group. And so what we did is we went out and got quotes about that. What is on the board, what was proposed initially, and again, the insurance committee met Monday and offered some feedback. So we're, again, not quite in a position where I can give you hard numbers yet, but I will be able to get those probably even today. It's just timing won't be perfect, and I'll have it for sure on Monday. If we look at changing it to 3 groups, which was what this proposal had, and initially saying all support staff, so hourly employees are $50,000, all teachers are 75, all admin and admin support employees are 200. Adjusting the support staff to if I have this in front of me, to having 3 tiers. We would call this a little bit different. So instead of support staff, the first tier we would say hourly school year staff. So that really is our paraeducators. And so those individuals, we got a quote back on that group being $30,000. And then we had a second group of, which would be teachers, custodians, and maintenance employees and admin assistants. So essentially our 12-month staff, having them go to $85,000. And then admin and admin support go to $200,000 as it shows. What that would capture is so it was very important to the insurance committee that no employees went backwards on this year's wages for the insurance coverage. And so by doing so, by going to 30, 85, and 200, we would then capture all of the employees. And what that quote gave us was a cost of $30,398. Which if we boost, and so what we kick back to them is that missed a couple employees in the support staff area. And so, but if we boost it to 35, it captures everyone. So I kicked it back to them and said, please boost it to 35. They haven't given us back that number yet, but I expect it today. What that change would be, let's see. So current cost 65. So it would, that change would boost our cost to 12. That boosts us up to approximately $27,000 of additional spend. However, we also have a part of the admin and admin support handbook that says that we as a district provide a $500 or $400 stipend, depending on their role, to admin and admin support staff for them to go seek their own insurance. Well, the idea was additional coverage. So where we would propose, and that would be a handbook change coming up later, we would remove that part of the handbook because we've now given them additional coverage from the district. And that would actually save us $21,500. So what we're talking about is a net increase in spend, probably somewhere in the $5,000 to $15,000 range what I'll have a hard number on for the full board to review. And I'll speak for Steve, because he and I have talked about it numerous times. He feels that, again, he was very comfortable in terms of a budgetary overview sense of an increased spend of $12,000. He did not feel, again, 12,000 is still 12,000, but in terms of our budget, he felt that that was a very manageable and not worrisome number in the grand scope of a budget the size of our school districts. And so if we're keeping somewhere around the 5 to 15, he remained comfortable with saying that that is something that we can manage without having to worry about other things.
So then that'd be 35, 80, 200.
85.
Yep, 35, 85.
Oh, 85. I'm
Yep,
sorry.
35, 85, 200. And so, again, the timing on this is, I had to release this to the board on Friday. Insurance committee, I didn't have these numbers actually, I didn't get the first numbers till Friday. Before I had to release the agenda, or after I had to release the agenda. And so, then I had insurance committee, and so we got updated numbers. And I'll have final numbers, for the full board to review on Monday night. But we're we're in that, I think, very reasonable range of increased spend.
Again, do you have a idea how this compares to the conference or the 15 schools that?
Yeah, and so what Heather shared with us is that the kind of the tradition or their typical is typically it's often once your salary, one time your salary. So actually this would really for the, as kind of the insurance committee said, no one would go backwards,
Right.
but the vast majority of our staff goes up.
Yeah.
In more than one time their salary, and so it would position us pretty favorably. I'm aware of really only one school district in Dade County that goes more than once their salary.
I like that. I thought the discussion Monday night was really valuable, that I think Jenny looked up that there were more than 50 teachers that would have gone backwards at the 75, but at the 85, that's a reasonable number. And I like splitting it out with the year or the school year only and the 12-month people. I think that's significant, and making 3 categories a little bit differently. So thank you for doing that.
Let's say, from an equity perspective, treating all 12-month employees comparably, I think that's a big thing too.
Yeah.
So
we know we don't have firm numbers, but I'm hoping that we can still move this to the full board with firm numbers on Monday. If that's good with the group.
Maybe a motion to move it.
Yeah.
Like motion to move to full board.
second,
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I do apologize. The way I build agendas is I just I make a copy of the previous agenda, and then I edit it, and I didn't go into the attachments so that attachment doesn't actually have anything to do with this item.
I did receive the whole thing though.
Well, we did two last time, Marty. So last time this item was was reviewing the DEI recommendations. So
That never happens to anybody else. You don't.
I do apologize about that. And so our last item for our benefits package is a voluntary vision insurance. So voluntary meaning that employees can choose to participate if they want to. They contribute and pay for the plan. We don't contribute. And so if you could open the attachment on that one. So this shows the first column on the left is our current level of coverage through Delta Vision. And there, we've gotten feedback since I've been in the role, and I think prior to that even, that there was some gaps within our current vision insurance. The biggest two that we heard was, one, it's single use. And so you had to spend, you only had one opportunity to use that benefit. Like it was one visit, one set of glasses, and then if you didn't spend it all, you left it, right? And then secondly, and probably the one we hear more is that there was, it was not, in terms of our local providers of eyeglasses, eye exams, contact lenses, it didn't cover all of them. And so it wasn't useful. For example, we, through our health plan, get free, included eye exam at Dean, Optical. Delta Vision is not a provider for Dean, so our staff could get their eye exams, but they couldn't get their glasses there using the insurance. And so it was important to us to find a provider that did work with Dean, but also worked with the greatest number of area providers. And so as we did that review, it really came down to to really one provider that had the opportunity to covers Dean, covers our private providers in our area. And I think when Heather didn't share this, but when she did a research of providers within 30 miles, she came up with a number. The number was quite high. It was greater than 30. And so there was a lot of options within MetLife. And so that solved one of the problems. Who do they cover? The second part was, how can we make it so that there is a larger benefit amount? Because $250, frankly, as someone who wears glasses, doesn't cover a heck of a lot. And it certainly doesn't cover a lot of contacts either. And so we wanted increased amount. And so that took us to the far right column with MetLife, option 2. And the neat parts about this is that it's a multiple use allowance, which means if you don't spend it, the money's still available to you, you can go back again. And in addition, we had what's called a $250 rider. So now really you've got $500 in coverage. You do have to spend it on 2 different things, but you can spend it multiple times. So it could be a pair of glasses and a pair of sunglasses. It could be a pair of glasses and some contacts. It could be going in for contacts more than one time, right? And so it really hits a lot of the things that individuals were looking for. And if you look at the cost is, there is an increased cost to that, but it is, and that's monthly, for $37 in change, we're increasing coverage to $500 in multiple opportunities. And so that was very attractive to the insurance committee. They were very supportive of it. And again, option 2 was for MetLife was what they proposed to advance.
And then what's the package cost for that increase?
So monthly for a single would be $10.56 compared to currently single is $9.23. Or for family coverage, it becomes $26.30 per month. Currently,
Right. I'm talking the overall. So the increase would be how much?
It isn't anything.
yeah, we don't pay it. This would be
Because-
to the
These are
employees.
only employees.
Oh, okay.
It's
Yeah, so it is fully an expense to the employee, but again, it's one that they choose to participate in or not.
the members of the insurance committee, who a lot of them do wear glasses. We're very excited about this change.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say as far as the insurance committee, Joan and I sort of take a back seat because a lot of them are staff.
They-
So we want to hear what they have.
Right.
So we just kind of listened to their enthusiasm, and this was without a doubt the only thing they wanted to look at, so we were comfortable with that. So I think we need another last motion to move this.
Motion to move forward.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you, Brian, for all the work on these benefits and putting those all together at such a timely place in the school year, so people have an opportunity to know these changes and then to start educating themselves on where they want to sign up. Anything else that you want to talk about today and in future meetings you want to chat about?
Well, I mean, it's kind of identified. We'll definitely be pulling back together as a group in April. At a, kind of a time to be determined. I think it's probably realistic. We would be able to set that meeting at the board meeting. And then that will give us some chance to move forward with our wage plan and kind of proceed from there.
Okay. Sounds good. So motion to adjourn.
What's to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
So, can I get on this committee in 30 minutes? I mean,
We are so efficient. We are like.
Are they all like this?
We are pretty.
This is